The plot thickens. Yes, welcome to this week's Movie Math, where New York theaters reopening did not save Hollywood. Oh my God! But not for lack of trying. New York did its best. Many showings were sold out over the weekend for films like Raya, Chaos Walking, and Golden Globe's Best Drama winner, Nomadland. I mean, that's also available on streaming. So, New Yorkers definitely went to the multiplex. However, with the current guidelines, it should be noted that New York City theaters are capped at 25% capacity or 50 people, whichever they hit first. I have to say, I was looking at, I like to go on Fandango because you can see, you can say you want to buy a ticket and then look at the seats, to see how many tickets are sold. And I wish this thing would last forever where you could make sure that no one would sit near you. Because, it's less people interfering in your experience. So I was like, oh, man, look how much space you get around you in the IMAX on 68th Street. Man, it looks swell. Did anyone go to the movies in New York City? I'm curious to what the experience was like. Yet, despite that buzz of activity and the trade sending reporters and all news outlets sending reporters to the theaters and being like, they're open, Raya opened with 41% less than Tom and Jerry did last weekend. That's a really old cartoon versus the newest Disney animated film. We're going to talk about that, though. And it's still even less than The Croods 2 opened with way back in November when movie theaters were even in an even worse position. And Chaos Walking opened a little under the pandemic norm of 4 million debuts. Boogie for Focus Features, a division of Uni, was DOA, but very little had been done to promote that movie, and nobody liked it, from critics to audiences. At least Chaos Walking can boast that those that did go were entertained. I told you that movie was watchable, and I suspect it will explode on streaming. Nick Jonas tweeted that news on that is coming soon. But back to the box office, what the heck happened, particularly with Raya? First, I'm going to tell you what the trades are saying happened, then I'm going to tell you what I think really happened, and then finally why Hollywood is shaking in their boots about what Disney might do as a reaction. All right, it involves Black Widow. All right, so according to Hollywood, Cinemark finally stood up to the mouse and landed a punch. Yes, while Warner Brothers has offered theaters very favorable terms on revenue splits to make up for offering their films day and date on HBO Max, the mouse is still saying, take it or leave it, and Cinemark left it. As did some movie theater chain called Harkins, sounds like it should be in Stranger Things. Who goes to a Harkins? I'm curious. And Canada's Cineplex. Now, I don't think that would be enough to account for a 41% loss from Tom and Jerry. I know some of you, in fact, couldn't go to see Raya in theaters because the Cinemark near you wasn't playing the film. But with New York back online and none of those chains in the Big Apple, I think that would have made up for the loss of revenue in other places. But that's what the trades are saying. They're like, damn you, Cinemark! And Cinemark's like, yes, give me better options. I'm not sorry at all. All right, so in my opinion, though, this is what I think happened. Raya faltered for the following reasons. And there's 4 of them. 1, the film is too female-centric. Now, I applaud and adore what Disney is doing for content for young girls, moving away from the traditional princess formula. But that's awfully popular. We'll talk about that in a moment. That's reason number 2. But they have to be careful to continue to still produce 4-quadrant movies. Raya has no strong male characters. Even Frozen at least had Kristoff, and Josh Gad's Olaf totally counts. Tom and Jerry and the Croods 2, let's face it, have far broader appeal. So number 2, audiences, it seems, want a very specific thing from Disney Animation. Disney Animation's like, we want to experiment, we want to do new things. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes, Coke tried it, didn't work. McDonald's, I don't think, has ever tried to even tried to differ from their hugely successful formula. And perhaps Disney Animation, at least when it comes to films with human characters, should do the same. Audiences want fantasy from their Disney animated movies. They want music. So many of you tweeted me, they're like, hey, does Raya have any songs in it? Which I thought was an interesting question because they haven't advertised a single song the whole ad campaign, yet some people still felt there might be songs in it. And I was like, no. And those people were like, now I'm not as interested. And also they want romance. Again, even Frozen has Anna and Hans and then Anna and Kristoff. Even Elsa not having a romance was very overtly done and so it became a big point of discussion. But the other sister, again, Anna, balanced it out. And it's great that Disney Animation is trying to diversify their princess lineup, and they create some wonderful characters. But they don't give these princesses a fair shot. Tiana spent most of her movie as a frog. Moana and Pocahontas don't get a ball gown or have a palace. And this is why Mulan has the same problems. And this is why all these films don't perform as strong at the box office as Disney Animation's other films starring humans. However, there's hope, because these films have all done incredibly well in the long run on the ancillary market. Tiana, from Princess and the Frog and Moana are so popular that they're getting new Disney Plus animated series. Tiana's getting a ride. She's getting Splash Mountain. And the entire Polynesian resort is being redone for the theme of Moana. So Raya could find a bigger audience down the line, as those films have. 3. While New York City was chomping at the bit to return to the multiplex, it seems other states are already over it. All weekend, I was not only checking New York City theaters to see them selling out, but I was also looking across the river at theaters in New Jersey, and they were not doing anywhere near the same level of business. Then number 4, a lot more people have Disney Plus than HBO Max, because Disney Plus, I think, is a stronger brand. I think that the branding on Disney Plus is stronger than HBO Max. Like, you really have a feeling for what you're getting. Just, they've said that we've opened the vault, which I do think makes the vault a little less special, but that's a conversation for another time. It's weird when you can watch a Disney princess movie whenever you want. I find myself watching them in chunks, which I don't really think is fair to the films, but that's what's happening. But anyway, and also it's cheaper. Disney Plus is significantly cheaper than HBO Max. Disney Plus is also global, and Raya's overseas numbers were also a little soft, because you could also get it on Premier Access overseas. That's not the case for the Warner Brothers movies. China's is a little low, but it's better than Seoul's debut there, and Seoul did quite well in China, and that tripled in its second weekend at the Chinese box office. So let's keep an eye on Raya in the weeks ahead overseas. And Raya seems to be doing very well as a Premier Access release. A welcome change after Mulan was also DOA as a Premier Access film, like Boogie. And Raya is second only to WandaVision on Disney Plus's trending. So this is why Hollywood is scared, because Deadline noted that unlike theatrical box office, Disney gets 100% of the Premier Access revenue on Disney Plus, where a single purchase when you unlock Raya on Disney Plus for $30, that is equal to what Disney would get from 5 to 6 tickets sold at theaters, because they have to share that revenue with the exhibitor. So now everyone is concerned that Disney might blink and make Black Widow a day-and-date release as well, in theaters and on Disney Plus. Hooray! Which is what I think pretty much everybody wants. I'm sure some of you will be like, not me, Grace, but pretty much everybody does. Especially since, as Deadline also pointed out, Bob Chapek was the one, to originally shorten the theatrical window before hitting DVD with Alice in Wonderland back in 2010. It used to be 4 months to digital. Bob Chapek made it, no, it's even shorter to digital. This is to DVD physical copy release. It used to be 4, and Bob Chapek made it 3, although that has not hurt the movie business. And then recently, Chapek warned that it might be hard. He was giving a talk, and he said, it might be hard to go back to the way things were pre-pandemic when it comes to releasing movies. So everyone in Hollywood and the theatrical business is like, what do you mean, Bob? So here's what I think Bob means. I think Bob Chapek is going to do what's best for Disney, which is what Disney has always done. So that's not a change. Although, as you can see, Bob Chapek has been at the company for quite some time, because Alice in Wonderland again was back in 2010. He's not going to pull a WB and sacrifice Black Widow like they did with Tenet to try and be a hero to Hollywood. Although Christopher Nolan forced them to do that, and we all said it was a mistake at the time. I think Black Widow likely will be a day-and-date release in theaters and on Disney Plus with Premier Access. I mean, if Raya is doing well, imagine the money they'll rake in with Black Widow. And this is because it's not pure greed. I think it's just common sense, because based on New York City and the box office this weekend going backwards instead of continuing to grow, that means that audiences, for the most part, still aren't comfortable returning to theaters in pre-pandemic numbers. Also, look at the strength of WandaVision's performance on Disney+. The platform can definitely handle a big movie release like Black Widow, and it will be a very interesting experiment to see what it's like when we can all see the latest Marvel movie at the same time. That's going to be crazy. Watch those servers, Disney+. You better update them, because they cannot handle the load. I wonder if they'll still debut Black Widow at 3 a.m. I think they should debut that at like a regular, I don't know, because a lot of you overseas are like, hey, that's the perfect time for me. And so I don't think they want to off-put their overseas viewers. Then, when audiences are finally ready to return to theaters like they did before, which I do think will happen, but I think it won't happen until 2022, to be honest with you, when almost everyone is vaccinated who wants to be, and there are much fewer cases being reported as a result. So everybody get vaccinated, wear your mask, and do what you're supposed to do. Then I think Chapek will go back to theatrical-only releases for some titles, because no studio, including Disney, is going to give up the opportunity to release billion-dollar movies. But that's clearly not possible right now, no matter how much you wish upon a star, to borrow from a Disney. Even Jiminy Cricket's like, put it on Disney Plus. It's not going to happen. All right, so let's chart it up. Over on Nielsen for original series, sure enough, WandaVision popped up to third place the week of its episode 5 release, which was a biggie, but Netflix still has the top 2 spots. Firefly Lane, only debuting that week, but it put out 10 episodes, and I believe that the binge model, while it doesn't really help Netflix in terms of, week-to-week social media conversation, when it comes to this Nielsen chart, which measures things by minutes, it does really help it because, people are only watching that one episode basically for the most part of WandaVision, whereas they're binging Firefly Lane, which gives it the top spot. And with movies, Netflix flexed here too, pushing Disney Plus back to only 3 slots in the top 10 for fan favorites Moana and both Frozen movies. On Netflix, Amy Poehler didn't make a huge splash with Netflix's movie of the week, Moxie, while Ginny and Georgia is still at number 1 and seems to have found a large audience. I Care a Lot is also still hanging on impressively. Boy, that's an annoying movie, but it's incredibly well made and well done. And on iTunes, Crisis was a surprisingly strong debut for a film from a non-studio. It has a pretty good cast, though. And Armie Hammer didn't hurt that movie. His agent dropped him. So Armie Hammer himself should be like, see, I didn't kill this movie. It did very well. Then a lot of people would rather rent SpongeBob for $20 than sign up for Paramount Plus. I paid for that, but I have not watched it yet. Damn it, $50 down the drain. But I got 50% off, and they promised some great stuff is coming. Also, people are getting their awards season on. That's nice to see people watching awards fair, with Minari, the Mauritanian, Promising Young Woman, and Land all in the top 10. As for this coming week, after March exploded on the scene its first week with, quite frankly, too much content, it seems to be taking this week off. Raya should have opened here. Coming to America should have opened here instead of going up against the WandaVision finale. It's so dumb. This weekend's just sitting here. No big movies are coming out in theaters, so that we'll see what the box office looks like next weekend because there should be some space maybe. We'll see if anyone goes. And then on Netflix, they're the only ones really, of course, Netflix is the only ones really debuting any new content this week. India's Bombay Rose animated film hits Monday. Last Chance U switches from football to basketball on Wednesday. And then on Friday, Netflix's movie of the week is the Jennifer Garner family flick, Yes Day. So that's this week's Movie Math. What are you watching? What are you planning to watch? And what do you think of the whole situation with Raya, Black Widow, theaters, and Disney Plus? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.